Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? The New York Knicks are in the building. What's good? What's good, everybody? Let me do a couple of things here. Let me do a couple of things here. Let me put this. Let me put this out here. Let me put this out here for those that may want to jump in. And also, let me do this. Let me do. Yo, what's good, everybody? Muhammad Thomas, what's good? Hey, shout out to the Knicks at Night family. Just wanted to talk about a few things. Maybe get some stuff off of our collective chest. Um, and and maybe take a deep sigh of relief with some other things. Um, hey, what's good? Salute. What's up, Coach Zach? William, what's good? Juju 92, what's good? Quiet Money, I see you. What's good? What's good? Kev, what's good? How you doing, man?
Good. Is my mic too loud?
No.
Or is it good? Okay. I've been having some mic issues lately.
How was your birthday?
Oh, it was thank you. It was wonderful. Some of my friends took me out this evening or today. Had two different lunches, so I'm quite full. But I was very appreciative of everyone and everything. It was good.
Oh, good.
For a person turning 35, is as much as you can ask for. It's not like I'm turning 10 and having a birthday party or anything.
Well, good.
I wish. That'd be great.
Well, good, man. Good. So,
But thank you.
Let me shout out Jeremy Nussbaum, Guzman, Juju 92, Basket Games. What's good? Auburn was good. I see you out there. I see you. So I had been thinking all day, man. We did the morning drive earlier today, and you know how you come in with certain topics, and sometimes the conversation morphs into something else. So the conversation this morning morphed into what the future of the Knicks will look like.
Okay.
And my version of the Knicks' future, I see a veteran team with young guys coming off the bench to prove themselves, and others version of the Knicks' future, they see um, I mean, and other people's version of the Knicks' future, they see a whole bunch of young veterans led by a young veteran like R.J. Barrett or Kevin Knox, and that's going to lead us to a championship. Like the homegrown talent will develop into a young core that stays together for a whole lot of years and make deep playoff runs together. Like RJ, Knox, Obi, Mitch, Quickly, and some other young pieces. They see those young pieces coming together and make it. excuse me, making a deep playoff. So, what do y'all think?
Um, you know me. I've said before that I have a dream, like MLK, that that one day Obi, RJ, and Knox are going to make up our big three, homegrown talent, like the Golden State Warriors did. and lead us to the promised land, or at least close to the promised land. And that is my vision. Now, there'll probably be veterans and other players and younger players mixed into that as they themselves continue to get older.
Right.
But that's kind of how I see it. So, I mean, that's just me. That's my vision.
And the reason why our visions seem to be going in separate ways is because the draft picks that we have, a lot of people want to keep those draft picks together. They want to draft all those guys and just add them to the team and grow organically. You know what I mean? Like say for instance, get Cade Cunningham and Jalen Suggs. So now you have a core of Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham, R.J. Barrett, Kevin Knox, Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin, Mick Robinson, maybe Ntilikina and DSJ, depending on what the franchise decides to do this summer, and whoever the 2 second-round picks are this year. So is that the future that you see?
No. Oh. And I'll say it that way because I don't think that you can build. I don't think that you can build a team just completely through the draft. Right. I don't think that's what their intention is going to be. You can have draft picks. One, I want people.
You want to build. So you want to bring Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock, say 2 veterans.
Oh no, definitely no. Can I say no one more time? No, I don't want those veterans. I want veterans who are better than Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock to help complement the team. Not those 2 in particular. No, God no. Oh, if they missed the plane home to New York and had to rent a car from budget to get back, I would have been fine with that.
Wow. The reason I ask is because you say your young core, whatever, and then you bring in veterans, and in my mind, I think any middle veteran is going to be comparable to Elfrid Payton or Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock type, Wayne Ellington type veterans, Taj Gibson type veterans.
Well, here's the thing. So this is what we have to say. Tib, I think it was yesterday or the day before, maybe. Tom Thibodeau's 62, right? He just turned 62 or 63. This is the first year of a 5-year deal. If we make up this team in the image of Tom Thibodeau moving forward, what does a Tom Thibodeau team look like? Right. And we've only seen that happen one time, where he inherited that Chicago Bulls team.
Right.
He didn't bring any of the mainstays of that team there. I mean, technically, I think you say he brought in, he was the coach still when they brought in Powell, like the last couple of years there. But is Powell, the difference between Reggie Bullock and Elfrid Payton and Pau Gasol is Pau Gasol was still playing almost at an all-star level. So they got a veteran who was, a little below elite, at his position.
Right.
He was at a tail end of his career, but he was still giving you 19 and 10.
Right.
So if we can get those kind of veterans, instead of the journeyman players that average a career 8-9 points a game, thinking that they're going to come in and be a major part of this team, no. Because I was thinking to myself today, I was listening to some other shows myself today, and I caught the morning show. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I usually sleep
right
past the. I don't know how you do it, because I got to go to sleep, and I don't be waking up till noon. But how is this? What is this team right now? And I wanted to kind of dive into that tonight because I've heard a lot of shows, and even you've mentioned, oh, let's trade for this person, and let's trade for this person, and let's trade for this person, and it's like we've gone down the road before a lot, especially Knicks fans. I think to where you just say, oh, let's just go. Let's say this. Like, let's say you have like a 2002 Honda Electra, right?
Right.
And you say, man, I want this new car. And
Right.
you want to trade in this Electra for like a 2020 Mercedes-Benz C-Class. And you go to the dealership like, yeah, I want to trade in my Electra for this C-Class. And then the Mercedes dealership is looking at you like,
what?
Yeah, no. You got to have something better to go with this. That's not going to cut it. And a lot of times you hear, ooh, let's trade two players in Frank and DSJ who, one second.
Okay.
You have Frank and DSJ who don't even get off the bench. Like, they're not even rotation players right now. Oh, but let's trade them and some mid-round picks because right now it's looking like we're going to be in the teens-ish range with our draft picks. And our picks, and let's go out and get like Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine, and we'll throw in like Kevin Knox. And it's like, I don't think Washington or Chicago or any team is going to trade our broken parts for, their high-class engine.
Right.
That's not how it works. This isn't a video game to where you can just turn trades off and just execute whatever you want.
Right.
And so my whole thinking is, what is it that we have? Like, what do we have? And as much as we bash these players all the time, and even RJ, like RJ will have a stretch where he's playing bad. Remember earlier, like, oh, let's bench RJ.
Right.
Let's bench RJ. And Obi Toppin's not doing anything. We should have drafted somebody else. And it's like we get so. To be honest with you, I feel really. I would not want to be drafted to the Knicks. And as much as we say we have a great fan base, our fan base might be the worst when it comes to how we treat our young players.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin's played 5 games, and people are already calling him a bust.
Yep.
So why would you want to be a young player and want to come here? Because these kids, they have Twitter. They have Twitch and Instagram and everything. They see how we bash these players we have now. So would you want to, if you were a 19, 20-year-old kid on Twitter, seeing we just had a number 8 pick and call him a bust after he's only played like 6 games, would you want to come play in that environment?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. People hate in a vacuum. Like they think they just hate and nobody sees it. You know what I'm saying? But we live in an information age where once you put that stuff out there, everybody can see it at any time. What's up, Ghouls? What's good?
Hey, Freezy. Happy
doing
belated
today?
birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Well, it's
I'm
my
good.
birthday. I got 1 more minute.
Oh, it still is. Okay. Happy birthday, Kev. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm just getting settled in here at work. So I think the conversation was regarding building a championship team. Is that what you guys were chatting
No,
about?
we were talking about the direction of the team, whether we build with rookies and young vets. Like the young vets would be Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, Frank, and back that up with young second year, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, and then next year or this year adding Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Evan Mobley, guys like that to that team, and then just going towards trying to win a championship that way.
Okay. All right. Well, my take on it is if you look at those teams, the Phillies of the world, the Bucks of the world, even the Lakers of the league, they started out by stockpiling draft picks and making building their teams internally. There's some exceptions like the Warriors and stuff, but in regards to the Sixers, who are now one of the elite teams in the East, and for instance, they started using draft picks, and then if you look at their squad now, if you look at their roster now, there's not too many players left other than Embiid and Simmons. There might not be too many of those draft picks, and they basically kept the best of the best, and then sprinkled in younger younger vets and older vets, which made them more competitive in the long run. I don't think we're quite there yet because of the fact that we haven't showcased. We have a bunch of draft picks, and the majority of them are sitting at the end of the bench, and we haven't showcased them to any team that might interest them in trades for additional picks or other players. So I think we're at the very precipice of the process. Um, so to answer your question, I would we to build a long-lasting competitive team, you have to do a little bit of both. You draft and keep the best of those draft picks that'll help you succeed, and then use the others in trades along with smart contracts to bring in veterans who see that you're going in the right direction and want to come play with you. And I don't think we're quite there yet. The evaluation period, I mean, unless the front office has already made its decision on players like Frank and DSJ and Knox and the like, unless they've already made that decision. But as it stands, if you was a GM and I contacted you and offered you those young players, I don't know if you have enough to make a decision in terms of what their potential is. So I think I would like to do both. I would like to the only rookie, or not the rookie, but only young player that other teams might be interested in at this point is RJ Barrett, because we've showcased him. He's other teams have seen how he has slumped and fought through it and is now becoming a better player. We haven't showcased our younger players yet.
Also, if I can just say one thing, just one that's going to cut in. I would like to thank everyone in the chat for wishing me happy birthday. And I'm not typing because I'm on my phone right now, but thank you everyone for all the birthday wishes. I truly appreciate it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out of the way because I saw a lot of people.
No, that's fine. That's
in
fine.
The chat.
I'm glad they're recognizing that. Yeah. So if you look at the Sixers, how many of the draft picks that they built with are still with the team, other than Embiid and Simmons, right? That you can think of. If you look at the Bucks, how many of the draft picks, other than Middleton and Antetokounmpo?
Well, Middleton wasn't even a draft pick of the Bucks.
He wasn't. Okay, so if you look at those teams that were built, long-lasting competitive teams, a lot of them, when they reach a point where they're perpetually always in the playoffs, they've kept the best of their draft picks and then dealt the others to build their team with vets and role players and deep bench and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not quite there yet with the Knicks.
The thing also is this. I want to ask a question. Do you feel like, because I hear other people saying, oh, this is the year of development and seeing what these kids have, right?
Yeah.
Do you really feel like, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen, now, the question I guess is, what is development? Like people keep saying they've seen development in Mitch, right? For example. And I sit here and I say, I haven't seen anything different from Mitch. Like, I literally have not seen anything that Mitchell Robinson has done any different from year one to now, other than he's not getting in foul trouble.
Right. And I don't see that as development. I see that as cutting it out on stupid mistakes.
Yeah, so that's like, has he implemented a jump shot or a hook
Right.
shot, or can you
Right.
give him the ball and have him do something? No, he
Right.
gets the ball off lobs
Right.
and rebounds,
Right.
and he blocks shots. But it's like, well, he was doing that in his first year. So where is the development at in Mitchell Robinson that everyone sees? I mean, if you like I
Yeah.
say, he's cutting down on fouls and not lunging. Well, that's just technique. That's
Yeah.
just learning. Like, okay, I don't have to jump for everything. That's not development. He has not developed anything.
Yeah. Playing smarter is not a skill set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no stat on basketball IQ and cutting down on silly mistakes and trying to block everything that comes into your perimeter. So I agree with you on that regard. I think what Mitch has shown is that he's been coached up because he skipped college. He had no regular training regimen, so he's been coached up for the last few years, and he's gotten cuts down on his mistakes. But that's not development. So I agree with you 100% on that. If he would have displayed post moves this year that he hasn't shown in the past, if he has displayed the confidence to give a 5 to 10 foot jump shot or hook shot, that would show me some development. But no, he hasn't shown that. He's continued to do what he did last year. Um, in regards to my idea of what development is, to answer your question, expansion of your skill set based on what you showed when you first got drafted. You understand? If you spent the off season expanding, let's say, your post moves, if you spent the off season um, improving your jump shot compared to when you first got into the league, those types of development is things that I look for. But it's hard to develop when you're not getting at least 15 to 20 minutes a game. You know, you need consistency in minutes in order to develop and become confident in your skill set as it improves. And this is my view with the Knicks. This is one of the problems you have when you bring in journeymen who gobble up your minutes. I would have no problem bringing in a 5 million a year journeyman if you intend on using them off your bench. If you intend on using them as starters
Exactly.
and then impede the development of your younger players, then what good is it? What is it that you're trying to do?
I agree with you 100%. It's like, as much as we sit here, and I know people will get on me when I bring up Kevin Knox, but we all agree last year it was a mistake to bring in, like 11 million power forwards and Marcus Morris and people like that really hurt Kevin Knox. And then people hit me and say, oh, I don't like Reggie Bullock. Well, Reggie Bullock, here's the thing about Knox. We'll never know what Kevin Knox can do until, see, Kevin Knox is a product of mismanagement.
Right.
They have mismanaged Kevin Knox for 2 years. And this is what's going to happen. He's going to go somewhere else. And it's like when people like with Frank, like, oh, Frank would look great if he went to San Antonio. Was like, well, why would Frank look great if he went to San Antonio? Like, why can't we do what San Antonio would do to make Frank better with us? That's my thing. It's like with case in point. Another analogy, I am a Jets fan, right? And so I like Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold can be a really, really good quarterback. I am, hopefully, one second.
Yeah, so to until Kev gets back, I think he's coming back now.
No,
Mhm.
so like with Sam Darnold, everyone's like, well, Sam Darnold would be really great if he went somewhere else. And it's like, well, what sense does that make? Like, why would you? So you have a quarterback who you think can be good with someone else. It's like, why don't we bring in the elements here to New York so he can be great here instead of him being great somewhere else? That's how my thing is. I feel like it was a whole bunch of lip service from a couple of people this
Mhm.
off season when they said, "Oh, we're going to develop," and this is all about development. And then it lured the Knicks fans in, like, "Oh yeah, we're going to develop these guys and see what they have." And under Tom Thibodeau, who's never really developed anybody, right? You
Mhm.
can tell those Bulls teams were pretty developed when he got there. It's like he didn't develop those guys; they were pretty good when he got there.
Right.
In Minnesota, we all knew that Karl Anthony Towns was already an all-star level player, and Andrew Wiggins can be if he just kind of got it together. I think he's in a really, really good position now, um, in Golden State. But it's like, why do all of our players be better if they went somewhere else? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like that means that we're failing. That's what that
Mhm.
means. It means we are failing if you say a player has to go somewhere else to be good. That means this organization has failed that player. And we can go through all these players. We can say, oh, we want Cade and whoever else that they want. But it's like, well, how do we know we're not going to fail them either?
Well,
And
mm,
that's just my mindset because we have yet to prove that we can. The last, here's the thing about this. Was David Lee an all-star with the Knicks?
no.
So if you think about it, the last all-star that we drafted that became an all-star with us was Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
And we drafted Patrick Ewing in 1985. Let that sink in. The last time the New York Knicks drafted an all-star player to play in the all-star game as a Knick was Patrick Ewing. And we're going to sit here and talk about all these players, all these draft picks, and who's come and gone through the years. And it's like, well, it's not them. Maybe it's us.
It is. It is. The Knicks have been historically bad at drafting and developing young talent. I think it's a wide league known fact. Um, I give you know I'm looking at Kevin Knox stats, and at this point this season he's averaging only about nine. I'm rounding up, so it's about 19 minutes a game. Um, Let me ask you a question, Kevin. I know you're a huge Kevin Knox fan. I like Kevin Knox. I like the Kevin Knox that we saw when he first got drafted in the summer league. He showed a lot of potential and ability. I don't know if that's I don't know if that was like rookie adrenaline. I don't know what that or the lack of competition on the other side. I don't know, but I just liked what was shown at that point when he was a rookie. However, to get back to my point, let's say, for instance, if I made a commitment to develop Knox, and that commitment is going to lead to a final decision, okay? And that commitment is going to lead into an uptick in his minutes. In 2018, he averaged around 29 minutes a game. So let's say I'm gonna afford him that amount of minutes for the rest of the season. Or let's say from game. Let's go back and let's say Tibbs said, you know what, we got to find out about this Kevin Knox kid. We're gonna see what we have in him, and we need to make a final decision. And I'm gonna coach him up defensively, and I'm gonna see what he has and what he can attribute on the offense. What is it that you would have to see from him? Because a decision at the end of the season has to be made. Sooner or later, we got to make a decision on these young players, whether or not we're going to extend them, trade them, put them into some type of package to better our team. And as a huge Kevin Knox fan that you are, what is it that you would have to see before you say keep him or dump him? In 2018, he was averaging 28 minutes a game, about 30 points a game. His field goal percentage was 37. He was averaging 4.5 rebounds. What would it take for you to, in your own mind, to make that decision to say, okay, I don't want him to languish on our bench, but we need to make a final decision? What is it that you would have to see from Kevin Knox for you to make that decision?
You're talking to me like I'm Leon Rose or
you encompass Tom Thibodeau and the front office and the information that's going to finally be given to the decision makers. Because
here's the thing about development, right? So it's like, okay, let's put down all these players. We'll start with Kevin Knox, right?
Mm-hmm. Because right now he's only averaging 18 minutes a game.
Yeah, so I remember being in the mindset of when I was coming up, is my coach used to say, don't tell me what a player can't do. Tell me what he can do, and let's build off that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it like, what are the things that Kevin Knox can do, and build off of that? Yes, even though it's like, okay, even if it's inconsistent, what are some of the things that we feel like Kevin Knox can do, or could we put Kevin Knox that we want to do? Do we want to make him a better rebounder? Okay, so say, Kevin Knox, we want you to work on your lower body strength. We want you to work on your conditioning. We want you to work on your footwork, because we want you to average at least 5-6 rebounds a game. We say, Kevin Knox, we notice you're a shooter, so I want you to be in the gym. You should be putting up X amount of jump shots, working with this coach, and this coach. Okay. Because I say this, we need to work on your footwork. So these are the drills that I want you to have for you to get better with. Because if you're going to be we want to put the ball in your hand, because you're a wing, and that's just how wings are play these days. Those are things I want you to work on. And we can work as we go along to see what your deficiencies are. Once you put in the work, okay, we've done this, and this. Then what are your deficiencies from this point on? And let's build on those deficiencies. That is where I think they've gone wrong. Because here's the thing. As much as people don't like Kevin Knox, or even whatever, you're not going to get anything from Kevin Knox in a trade, because he's not showing that he has any value, because you aren't putting him in the positions to be successful. Mm-hmm. If I had a company, I'm going to put my employees in the best position to be successful. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that a 6'9" wing can't do anything successfully. That's impossible. And that's why I think a lot of times when people come up with busts, because a lot of people have expectations on players. Like when they were talking about who was the player that Cleveland drafted that was just bad? I can't think of his name.
Are you referring to that number 1 draft pick?
Yeah, the one that I can't think of his name.
I know who you're talking about, though. I know who you're referring to.
Let's see if anyone in the chat knows. Overall? Yeah. Does anyone in the chat know? Anthony Bennett.
Yes. He was a Knick for a little while, actually.
Um, um, um.
I agree 100% what you're saying, but I believe, Kevin, where it all starts. For a quarter of a season, I would commit Knox to at least 25 minutes a game and see what develops from there. This season, Knox's best games have happened when he had 24 minutes and 29 minutes respectively. Those have been his highest point output and his more efficient games. So I think it all starts with commitment to minutes. So if I really wanted to evaluate Knox, I will commit him to at least a quarter of the season to whether he starts or comes off the bench, but I'm giving him 25 to 29 minutes per game and let him warm up and become consistent, whether it be from the corner three or other parts of his game. Because you remember, if he knows he's gonna get pulled after 10 minutes, he's gonna try to get his, and the quickest way to get his is to go to the corner and shoot from the corner three.
I thought it was ridiculous just on the because I didn't really be able to mention this yesterday because I saw Cornerstone Kev this morning say that he blamed the loss yesterday on Kevin Knox, which I thought was the most ridiculous statement
You
I've
only
ever
played
heard
eight
in my
minutes.
life. Like literally, he said because he went down and fouled Clarkson on that drive, which goes to show me that Cornerstone Kev has never played a lick of basketball in his life because that play only put us down one. Um,
We lost that game. We lost that game because we ran out of time. Okay, if we had 5 more minutes, or you know what I mean, we didn't lose that game because of Kevin Knox. He only played 8 minutes. He only clocked in at eight
we lost
minutes.
that game because of fatigue.
Yeah, yeah.
Is Freeze? Are you in? Are you in here? I don't know. I have to with things. I have to step away for like 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
That's why I asked if Freezy was in here. I'm gonna just turn my camera off right quick because I have to step away
All right.
and do something right quick. But I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Freezy, are you there? All right. I'm gonna try to hold it down for a little while. Don't expect much, but just to close out on my next thought. I think minutes played has a lot to do with a young player's confidence and comfort zone that will only come when a team is fully committed to development. If they wanted to develop their young players, at least to a point where they can come to a smart decision this off season to to package these young guys, let them go, or commit further to their development. Um, when we look like when we so it's a little bit confusing as fans as to what it is the Knicks are trying to do. When you read that they brought in players like Bullocks of the world, the Rivers of the world, the Burks of the world, they're not really paying them as starters. If you look at their salaries, they're paying them as reserves. But yet they're giving them starting positions or starter minutes, which, in my view, kind of impedes your ability to make final decisions. When you talk about having all of these draft picks this year and moving forward, you need to make final decisions on the players you already have drafted. And giving a player 10 minutes a game is not going to do it for you. Not playing DSJ is not going to do it for you. I understand Frank's been hurt, and Frank is a story within itself because he's injury prone. He has shown some ability on the court, my problem with Frank Ntilikina is he's apprehensive. Um, his inner dog seems to only appear in spurts. You know what I mean? It's not a constant. It's not something that he that he displays subconsciously. You know, it almost seems like Frank needs to rev himself up to get to that point. But the issue with Frank is once he becomes efficient, he pulls a groin muscle or tweaks a knee or does something that makes him a non-factor for a month. So my take on Frank is, you know what? It's never been a case where Frank hasn't had the minutes to show what he can do. He has been inconsistent. He's been injury prone. So maybe maybe and the fact that he's a great defender on the perimeter, yes. But again, you're not going to help us win if you're not available to play defense. So we might have to move on from Frank, unfortunately, and who knows? Maybe he will get picked up by another team and excel. Who knows? Um, DSJ, my view with DSJ is that in college he he was very athletic. I believe he had some knee injuries at a young age. His athleticism was not as apparent as when he first came into the league, like his not his senior year. I'm sorry, his college years in North Carolina and his rookie season in Dallas. He was a huge drop off. Um, and then once I read somewhere that Tibbs was basically fine tuning his ability to run the point. That was a bad sign in my view. So DSJ's ability to get to the bucket was there. He hasn't really shown that lately. He's healthy as far as I know, but he hasn't made his way onto the court. So again, along with Frank and DSJ, I wouldn't mind moving on from those two players. If we're not going to use them, package them, trade them, do something, or just let them move on with their careers. Um, Knox, to me, like I had spoken to Kev, is a different story because I don't think Knox has been afforded enough minutes and enough time for his consistency to show through. Um, so what I would do is I would make a final decision to showcase Knox for at least a quarter of a season, take it from there, give him anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes. Um, Not necessarily off the bench, not necessarily as a starter, but give him at least that, whether you take him off the bench or start him, commit to that 25 plus minute per game and see what he can do with those minutes.
Can you hear me, Goose?
Yes, Kevin, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be off and on right quick.
That's fine.
No, but I was kind of listening to what you were saying.
Yeah, like
My
yeah, I was.
my whole thing about it
Uh-huh.
is this: is it hurting anything if Knox played that minutes? If anything, people who want Cade and Jalen would want Kevin Knox to play as much as possible. If they
Right,
think he's as bad as what they think he is, you would think like, let's just have Kevin Knox play, and that'll better our chances of getting Cade Cunningham.
right.
That's just
Um,
one way to look at it.
I had mentioned when I was on the part I was on the panel with Stephen Fox. I had mentioned to him that if there was a season to commit to development, it would have been this season.
Do you
Because of the
think?
lack of fans in the stands and the shortened season.
Do you think that we got as much as his thing? And this is honest. Do you think that we have the wrong coach for development?
Not if, not if you wanted your team to become a better defensive team. No, I think you got the right coach. What I think was kind of a misstep was the Knicks' inability or refusal to showcase an offensive coach that was able to have great input on the offensive side of the game. Um, you know what is weird? A lot of fans, they say, what good is defense? What, like these high scoring teams, and they downplay the importance of defense. Um, if once you get to the playoffs, your ability your ability to play defense and hold your opponent's point output below their average is very important. It's
Just
very
wait one
important.
second. I mean, one second. Literally, I'll be right
Yeah.
there. One
Okay.
second. I'm sorry. I got to do like 3, 4 things. You know how work is.
Yeah. No. No doubt. No doubt.
So give me 1 second.
Go ahead. Yeah. So, like how Kevin has said, do I think Tibbs is the wrong coach for this team? I don't. I don't. I think what may have been misconstrued is the strategy of what they expect from this season. Um, if Rose said, "Listen, we're going to use this season, the shortened, fanless season, to showcase our young players, develop them, give them ample enough minutes to show what they have, and make final decisions or finalize what we're going to do with them, and bring in these 5 million a year journeymen as bench players and role players." That would be the route I would want to go. Is that the picture they painted Tibbs, and Tibbs is now going against the grain, and Tibbs has maybe saw how well they were playing at the beginning of the season, and maybe the Knicks have exceeded Tibbs' expectations, and he is changing his mind midstream. I don't know. Maybe Tibbs wasn't expecting Randall to play as well as he's playing. Maybe, so maybe Tibbs has changed his mind to some degree about what, and because of the play in um portion of the season, maybe he's changed his mind midstream and say, you know what, I've got a team here that can potentially make a playoff run. Tibbs is not of the mindset that he's willing to lose a lot of games for the sake of development. I think he trusts his veterans a lot more than he does his young players. So if Tibbs is committed to development, he's not quite showing it right now. Um, if you look at the Brooklyn Nets, for instance, just for a second, um, the coach they brought in when they had
Just
those
letting you know I was
young,
back now.
okay, the coach that the Brooklyn Nets, Kev, what was the coach that the Nets brought in to help develop their team?
Kenny Atkinson.
Yes. And then they had Atkinson here while his team was developing, the Dimwitties and the Leverts and the center that they had were
Jared Allen.
developing. But once they crossed that threshold, they went and brought in veterans, and then basically brought in a veteran friendly coach, even though he's never coached before as a head coach, to take them the rest of the way. Um, I definitely believe Tibbs is probably a better coach with seasoned, proven vets than he is with young players. I really believe that.
Well, here's the thing. Also, is do we feel like Tom Thibodeau was the right man for this job, or do we feel like Tom Thibodeau got this job because he's very good friends with Leon Rose?
I
Because it's
think a
not
little bit of
like
both.
it's not like, because here's the thing, like I said, if you want to talk about this is a season for development, then you would have got a Kenny Atkinson or a
Right.
Mark Jackson.
Right.
If you would have said we're going in the route of development, our young players, we have these draft picks, we have these young kids we have now, then Tom Thibodeau shouldn't have been at the top of the list.
Right.
And also, if you look around the league, it's not like Tom Thibodeau was in high demand anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't knocking down doors trying to get Tom Thibodeau coaching there. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. It's like, so did he get this job simply because he's a CAA guy? The main reason why a lot of people are on this team because they're represented by CAA.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been friends with Leon Rose for like 30 years.
Right.
Because, like I said, it doesn't make any sense when you're like, oh, this is going to be a season of development, and you bring in Tom Thibodeau, who, let's be honest, is not have a track record of development. He either has a track record of winning, and sometimes, and I've always been the one to be on record to say that you can win and develop should be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have I think this is like the fourth youngest team in the league, or third or fourth youngest team in the league.
Mm-hmm. I think they kind of did things reversed. What I might have done since Tibbs was out of the league for a while, I would have brought Tibbs in as the senior assistant coach to work on defense, right? And then I would have brought in like a Johnny Bryant, for instance, as it would have been like a first-time coach, for instance, or something similar, a younger player who can relate to our younger team to help develop the youngsters. And then if it worked out or if it didn't work out, but let's say it worked out and we started building internally and bringing in some veterans that actually helped us, and then maybe slide Tibbs into the head coaching position two years from now. You know what I mean? Keep him in house, keep him working with our players defensively, but not make him the primary guy to bring along our youngsters. Bring in a more younger coach who is stern, still stern, but can relate a little bit to the players. And because you know what, I think right now Johnny Bryant is probably the canal of communications between Thibodeau and the team anyway. You think Thibodeau is really sitting down with these guys having coffee and tea and chatting it up with them? They're probably not. So I think that it would have been reversed. I think they could have brought in Tibbs. Whether or not he would have took the job, I don't know.
Hey, Rodney, I'm sorry for leaving you backstage for so long, man.
Yeah, so that's my take. Hey, what's up, panel? Welcome.
What's going on? What's going on,
Hey,
fellas?
Rob. What's up, Rob?
All right, all right. Oh, I got some fire for you and Kev. Y'all might not like it though, but
That's all right.
I gotta give Kev the truth.
Go ahead, man. You're up.
Okay, so now look at it like this.
Mhm.
This is just another way to look at it.
Mhm.
Tibbs in the front office put these veterans there for Knox and them actually to beat them out. It seems like Quickly is having no problem getting past his counterpart to even to force the conversation that he should be starting. Knox should be doing the same thing. They both started off with the same amount of minutes. And if Knox can't get past Bullocks, it's not Tibbs' fault. But you also look at it like this here. They paid them this least amount of money to make it easier for them to get past. Because with the draft picks that we have in the future, we can replace every position right now that can't pass their man. So it's not as though like, okay, if Knox is the guy for us, Get past Bullocks. If you can't get past Bullocks, we're going to draft somebody in your position next year because it's an easy pass. It's not a hard pass. They didn't put us a super all-star in front of them. Beat them out in practice, play in games, and beat them. Knox made strides there earlier parts of the season. We thought that Knox was going to overtake. Then all of a sudden, Knox regressed. That wasn't nobody else's fault but Knox. It's not coach's fault. It's not anybody's fault. Now, like I said, we got a couple of first round picks and a couple of second round picks going into the future. Going into the future. Next year we got 2, we got some after that. You know, we got some second round picks. We got a whole bunch of picks right now. So if you can't beat out Reggie Bullocks, Knox, that's your fault. Obi, it's your first year. We're waiting on you. Okay, we understand that you had a bad second year. I don't feel as though Knox was mismanaged this first year. Knox is 1-1. This is the tiebreaker.
Yeah, let's stick on the Knox point for a second.
Okay.
Let's continue with that Knox point for a second. We're about 10 games into the season, right? Thereabouts?
We 18 games in.
Okay. In the beginning of the season, Knox was playing higher minutes. And now our last game against Utah, he played a total of 8 minutes. So with what you had just mentioned, do you think that experiment is already over?
No, I think
Tibbs has made, because it's not like he's giving Knox and Bullock equal amount of minutes to make it a fair assessment. He's already cut Knox's minutes down to 8 to 10 to 12 to 11. So if I'm going to compete against you on an equal setting, I want it to be equal. So that way, and it's going to all start with you playing the same amount of minutes that I'm playing or close to it. Because if you're playing more minutes than me, it's going to be you have more opportunities to showcase than I do.
Yeah, but see, that's the whole thing about it. Knox doesn't have to showcase as much as Bullock does just because of his ceiling. All you have to do, really, it seems as though Knox is getting the early hooks because whatever's going on between what Knox is doing on the floor and Knox is doing in practice is not the same. And I'm not talking about scoring. Okay. I'm talking about it can be as simple as moving without the ball. You're hanging around in this corner when there's other things you should be doing. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with Knox's shooting. I think it has more to do with Knox court awareness right now. And when Tibbs catch him out of pocket like that, he pulls him. You know, because it's probably something they keep on telling him time after time. Because it seems as though when Knox go out the game, he doesn't have a problem. He recognizes, he goes, sits down, and somebody's always giving him some instructions on what just happened. You know, I seen like the last 2 games, even though he been playing like them he been playing 8 minutes, 12 minutes there. I seen one thing that Knox has started doing. Knox has started going to the basket, dribbling to the basket. But his dribble he needs to tighten up on his dribble because as soon as somebody reaches in, it's a wrap. So he needs to do that. And he's getting to the basket. He's not finishing. You know, he's making himself small at the basket. He puts up, you know, he gets to the basket. So when people saying that Knox can't get to the basket, that's totally untrue.
Oh, I always thought he could.
Yeah, Knox can get to the basket, but Knox is not finishing at the basket. You know, so Knox does have issues. Now, you can just throw him in and just say, yeah, you can figure it out, but you can also be like this here. Beat out this guy. If not, I think management is saying, well, we'll draft for his position next year. If you can't beat him out. He has the perfect opportunity, and he was trending in the right direction. We was talking about him like quickly, like, yo, Bullock needs to sit down. And then all of a sudden, Knox regressed. He regressed. And that was all on him. It was all on him. You know, I want him to get the job. But if you have to beat out your man, beat out your man. Quickly was getting the same minutes. But Quickly kept so much pressure on Peyton that you had to make a change. And not even as a starting guard, about the minutes that you were getting. Why can't Knox do the same thing?
My take on it, see, that to me is a difference between putting a stamp on your expectations for the season. If you're going, I'll give you an example. If you have if you have thoughts of a playoff run, you will probably be having a quicker hook for those individuals who are not producing or showing themselves on the court. If you put a stamp on the development and then you're going to allow these younger players for the sake of decisions, is for the sake of final decisions to play through their. You're not going to cut their minutes because they're making mistakes, and it seems like that's what's happened with Knox. His minutes have progressively gone down, which tells me that somewhere on that bench in the coaching staff, they're not looking at this as developing Knox. They're looking at it as a production issue. If you're not producing, we're going to play bullets. If you do, if it was a development, we're going to let you play through. We're going to give you ample enough minutes. We're going to let you warm up, play through your mistakes, and produce. And so that way we can make a final decision on whether or not we're going to commit to you or not. So that is that fine line between development or having a record,
But
a
see, that's
respectable
the thing.
record.
That's the thing, Goods, because look at it like this here. See, they got 2 years on Knox. So he's not the average looking rookie that you're looking at. You know Knox can give you things because he gave it to you in his first year. That
Right.
skill set is still there. So I don't think they're looking at it from that standpoint. They already know. It's not like they're looking at Quickly or they looking at Obi, okay, let me see what you can do on this level. They know what Knox can do on this level. It's the consistency in which he does it.
This is
So
what
they're
I'm
looking
saying,
at,
though.
yeah, but he's
Consistency, in my
totally,
mind, consistency relates to the amount of minutes. And as a rookie, he was averaging 29 minutes a game. He's only averaging 18 now. So in my
okay. So
mind, consistency and minutes, they correlate together.
I know, so they must be, that's what I'm saying. It must not be on the offensive side of the ball. It's on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
It has to be. And look, and another thing like this here too, when people look at the Knicks and they start talking about our offense and the way that it looks and the offense, look, it's going to be a defensive ran team first. First of all, it's going to be a defensive ran team. And I feel as though Tibbs is not going to open up that offense until everybody in that rotation knows their role. In that defensive rotation, knows their role. If you don't know your role in that defensive rotation, I don't think Tibbs is going to open up that offense until. That's part of what one of the caveats are. He's saying, okay, look, this team's identity is going to be defense. I know y'all want to run, but I refuse to let you run until everybody know their defensive assignments and their defensive rotations. And I'm talking about everybody that I'm playing. And if y'all can't do that, y'all will be in this vanilla offense all year. Because that's the look, I feel as though that's the carrot. Y'all want to run? Yeah, I know y'all want to run, but you won't run. You won't run in this Tibbs offense until you get this Tibbs defense, because that's the only way that you can have a defensive identity. No matter what the offense is, you open up that offense right now. Just say, for instance, Tibbs open up that offense right now. Then they start running back and forth. The Knicks start putting up 120 a game. You're going to have everybody on that team slacking on defense because of the offense. You build that defensive identity first, they'll never slack on the offensive side. So,
but Rob, with that
isn't he
said,
building that? Isn't that what he's been trying to build? I mean, I feel like Tibbs is like that's what he's all about. But I feel like we can see he can break guys.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. That's cool.
You
I
know,
mean, with that said,
I mean,
I'm
why
sorry
do
to
we
cut
have
you
to?
off.
Yeah.
I
No,
just
go
want to mention something to Rob. With that said, right now the Knicks are number one in certain categories in defense. I don't know specifically what they are, but they are 1 to 5. They're dwelling in that zone defensively in statistics as a team. So its quarter of the season has already gone by. So at some point, he sees that they're able to do it. They've done it for a quarter of the season. They're in the upper echelon of defensive statistics as a team. Okay, so throw him a bone and let him open up
But
the
see,
offense a
he's
little bit.
doing it.
for
How
He's
much
doing
longer does he have to do that? How
that's
much
what
no
longer does the
because
team have to do that?
it's like.
they doing it with the vets. He want to be doing it with the young players. The vets are holding that.
I feel like he's just trying to make a lot of points. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
why do we have to? I mean, not like why do we have to, but it's like, we're playing like all-star defense, but it's like our offense is just shit. It's like, sorry, I can't care. Sorry about that. So I just like to see him change up the lineups, a little bit. I know he's stuck on some lineups, but
I think that
I
with the
feel like
25
if we're
games,
all so focused on defense, all the guys can play defense. So, that's not the problem here.
but they all are not. Only certain lineups are playing the defense well. Others are not.
Yeah.
But the whole team gets the credit. But all of them are not. Quickly is not. Obi is not. Knox is not. But when you put Bullups in, you got Peyton in, you're going to see a defensive change. Not to say that I wish those players to be playing, but they all benefit from what they're doing on that side of the ball. And I think that they need to be held, and that's what's being held. Knox and them are being held accountable on the defensive side of the ball. He's not playing minutes. Obi is not playing the minutes that we think that he needs to be playing. They need to step up on that end, and I think all of a sudden you'll see Knox playing more.
So you're basing you think he's basing his per game minutes on what they're doing in practice? Because you're not giving Knox ample enough minutes to even break a sweat. So it all comes down to development or playoffs. What is it that you're trying to do? If you're trying to develop, then give at least Knox. I'm talking about Knox only. DSJ and Frank, I think they already wrote their. Yeah, I think their future hasn't been written as far as the Knicks are concerned. I'm referring to Knox at this point. Give him ample enough. I'm not saying he should start over Bullock. I'm not saying that. I'm saying give him ample, at least 20 to 25 minutes per game, so that he gives you enough information to make a final decision, because we have 4 draft picks this year alone. We got 2 in the first round and 2 in the second round. And we can't just stick 4 more rookies on the bench and start and playing journeymen over these rookies. So decisions have to be made.
Yeah, I mean, we're in such a weird position.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, we're just in like such a weird position. Like, it's like half the team is vets and half of it's young guys. Like, I mean, it's hard for me to even understand where we go, because it's like,
hey, look, it's kind of easy for me just to see on the jump that Quickly made. Quickly put pressure on Peyton.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was all judged on play. And that's what he was judged on, his play. So I'm looking at it like with Knox, I'm saying just like this here, with the injuries that the Knicks had earlier in the season, that pushed back that pushed it back from 20 games. I'm looking at 25 games now before Tibbs do an evaluation on what he wants to do with these players. I think in 25 games, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see, you're going to see a change. You're going to see a change somewhere with the team. If it wasn't for those injuries, I'm thinking that it would have been in 20 games. But since we had injuries, I'm thinking, it's going to be 25 games. I'm just looking at it in increments like that. So, but look, I'm still thinking that the reason why Knox is still in the rotation. DSJ
Really?
and Frank and them is not even in the rotation. So there's something that he's seeing in Knox to still keep him in the rotation. You know, so Knox is there. His minutes is not, where they need to be. But like I say, I see Knox doing good things on the offensive side. He went to the basket the last couple of games. His like I said, his dribble needs to be tighter. He's getting to the back. He just need to make the shot. You get all the way down there, so now you're just not hanging around in the corner. So it's certain things that Knox is doing to stay in the rotation. So therefore, I'm not in panic mode on Knox, and I'm not in panic mode on Tibbs either.
Yeah. No, I'm not really complaining. Just like as Sim says, I'm just just trying to think through it. But
I think Knox is playing a little apprehensive right now. I think he's got one eye on the court and another eye on the bench waiting for that hook to come. And he probably feels a little bit like it's very hard to play when you feel like your coach is judging you per minute, not per game, not per quarter, but per minute. And I think what Knox is feeling like he's being judged on a per minute basis by Tibbs. The first mistake he makes on the defense, out you come, and it's very hard to play when your confidence takes a shot, it takes a hit. That when you feel like your coach doesn't trust you, defensively, you know what I mean?
So it's all confidence with Knox is how I view it. So I mean,
yeah.
If the minutes is like it's the thing. If he's not getting the minutes, I don't know how he's really gaining that confidence. But does he really have the confidence in the first place? If he's just stuck in the corner 3-and-D guy, like, that's what they see him as. My dreams for him is like he could be a Tatum. That's unrealistic with his handle, but at the moment, but maybe a guy.
That's not an unrealistic stretch for him because he got the size. But right now he's looking more like Anthony Randolph out of LSU back in the day. He looking more like him. With that demeanor, he's got the skill set. He's got the same height. But, you're just not doing the right things. He playing over there in the Sylvia, and he playing over there in the Euro League now. So it's things that Knox has to get together. Because, like I said, if everybody was on the bench the same and Quickly was standing there next to him and everybody like that, then you can say, okay, yeah, maybe. But when you see one player make a jump, you're looking at the other player like, look, why is your situation different from Quickly's? Y'all both on the same team. You both started with no minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to prove your worth. I got Reggie Bullock in front of you. You mean to tell me you can't get past him?
Yeah.
You should be able to get past him, and you got the whole season to do it. Maybe Knox will have a better second half of the season than the first. It's not over.
Yeah, so there's always that chance. Let me, Rob, I gotta ask you a question. I'm sorry, what's your name, buddy?
Oh, I'm Dana.
Dana? All right, I want to ask you guys. I want to ask you both a question. I'm gonna get off the Knox subject real quick. For a second. Tibbs, as a coach, as a rotation builder, as a overall leader of the Knicks, on the bench, I should say. At what point do you think he will start facing criticism, if at all, this season, in how he's handling the team overall?
Well, I say like this.
Keep Alfred in there.
Every time he's in a press conference, if you notice Tibbs in the press conference, he never say I. He always say we. Like he talking about Kenny Payne and all of them. He said we came to the decision that this is best. So he doesn't even take in all the credit from what's out there. So with that being said, if it's a group and all of them are talking, I think that right now, as far as like your question is the criticism, I don't think right now that he would face criticism just for the simple fact that right now we got 8 wins.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen that coming.
That's true.
So I don't think that really you can face criticism, even because he would have been facing criticism. Yeah, they grill him about Peyton in the meetings, and he answers the questions, and then there's still no articles about nothing in the paper because you have to count the wins. So long as they're somewhat winning and they're floating around 500, which I think at the end of the thing, it's going to balance off. They're going to win in between 24 and 27 games anyway. All of this playoff nonsense and all of that people think is going to happen with this particular team is not going to happen. Because they need more, they need more development. Players need more development. So they might run off, even if they get to 30 games, they'll be better the next season with the same squad, but minus a few pieces, minus a few vets. These vets is at the end of the day, man, you got to take your position. And then you got to be a dog out there. That's all. We need dogs out there, or we're going to draft somebody in your spot.
I think, in my opinion, what's saving him from the hard questions regarding the rotations he's putting out, the fact that the Knicks are defensively as a team in the upper echelon in terms of ratings. If he sustains that and he stays around 500, he's not going to get criticism. If the Knicks start to dip in terms of defensive rankings and basically fall back to earth, then he may start getting questions regarding the minutes being played to youngsters versus the veterans, the journeyman veterans. There's only so much you're going to get from a journeyman who's being paid $5 million on a 1-year contract. They can ball out, but if they decide to move on, and then you still have your some players, not Frank, but you still have players with 1 or 2 years left on their rookie contract without any real decisions being made on what you're going to do with them. But criticism is not something he's going to face as long as he stays around the 500 record, a little above or a little below, and he keeps them defensively among the elite teams in defensive rankings.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. Like, those are all my thoughts. So, yeah.
So who are they playing tomorrow? Right? Are they playing tomorrow?
No, Friday. Cleveland.
Cleveland
for the third time.
Cleveland. Let me ask you guys a question. Cleveland. What do you think is carrying Cleveland right now? Because they're tough. Is it their 2 point guards? Is it Garland and Sexton, or is it their bench, or is it their defense? What do you think? Because they beat the Nets twice, right? They beat the Nets twice, I believe, and they're playing tough against a lot of teams. They're not really a pushover.
Yeah. Well, they just picked up Jared Allen from that trade, so they're like,
right.
They have definitely, some of the strongest, not strongest, but they have a strong big man lineup.
And they have Drummond too. The Drummond's playing way over there.
Exactly.
And they have chemistry. That team been together for like 3 years. That's why they pretty much in the same boat as us. We got the same team that's been around for the last 3 years, and they fighting and they scuffling for every win. They the mirror image of us as far as like chemistry is concerned. They got the same players on the team that they've been playing with. You got culture, you got chemistry, it equals wins. And a heart mentality, what they reckon, probably just like ours. They just like us, right there in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and Sexton is like a guy that he has that drive, And RJ's a little bit. It's probably our Colin Sexton, but
Cleveland's 9-9.
9-9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, and we what 8-11.
8-11, yeah. But we played a couple more games than them.
Yeah, that's a lot. But see, and a lot of teams didn't. Our first 20 games, you can mark it that. up against any team in the NBA, and it wasn't that. And it doesn't equal up to us. Now we're gonna get a stretch when we're gonna have a lot of winnable games, and we're not gonna have like teams that's right there like at our level. We've been playing a lot of teams didn't get to play. We've been playing a lot like that Portland game, for instance. That COVID, I call them COVID games, when a team been off for a week and you coming off a 1 day off. Man, look, those games right there are hard to win. Them guys pretty much just had another training camp. And it's not like a lucky break though, but you be those days that you may get off because somebody may have been in contact or they have to contact trace, and you wind up with a week off, 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams has benefited from that, and they pretty much in the second half of the season. That's pretty much why they probably split it up the second half of the season, because those teams going to have to play a whole lot more than the teams that went into it without being flagged.
I would like to see Tibbs expand his rotation to about 11 or 12 players. Yeah, he's pretty stern in sticking with 10, roughly around 10 players at most. I would like to see, because twofold. I think I would do that twofold. One, you're not giving your vital pieces too much burn on the court, and you're able to give some of your younger players a couple minutes, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, 2 to 5 minutes extra a game if you expand your rotation a little bit. Against the Jazz, he actually has 11 players, but Pinson only played 1 minute, so I don't even count that. So it's still just like 10-player rotation, where other teams are playing upwards to 11 or 12 players per game. So I like to see Tibbs maybe, because he's got healthy players on the bench. So it's not like he doesn't have the players on the bench to put on the court. Early in the season, he was going with 8 players because of the amount of injuries we had. So it was more out of necessity that he was doing that. But as players have been becoming healthy, he's still sticking with the rotations, and he's only expanded it by 1 or 2 players.
Yeah, I'd like to see like a real like second unit, or just like some guys that haven't played together. I know that might be too drastic for Tibbs, but a lot of other coaches in the league do that, and I don't know. I just, it feels like why, what's holding us back from messing around. I mean, I guess it's a better record than we expected, and maybe you want to keep that, but at the end of this, towards this end of the half, or you could throw in some guys. That's how I feel. But
yeah, that would be a good look for him to throw in some, get an X. But with these couple of days off, we don't play until Friday and everything. Come back kind of refreshed and everything, and see what's out there. Because I think as the schedule lighten up, more people gonna play. This first 20 games, that was a hardcore 20 games that we had that was a hardcore 20 games. So I'm thinking that it should lighten up and more people should get to play, and the offense should open up a little bit more. Because if you have to reevaluate this team right now after these games right here, these 20 games, after these 19 games, you're going to have to say like 19, 20 games, this be a 20th game coming up Friday. You evaluate that, they get a win. They 9-11 on 20 games. You would have to give the Knicks an A.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You would have to give up an A. I seen something on Bleacher Report. This was the dumbest article I read.
I don't like those. I don't like Bleacher Report.
This guy's name was something Miles somebody, and he gave the Knicks a beat, and guess what the reason why? He said the losses are coming. But
So
you're
he's
supposed to be
basing it on
basing
the
it
future.
on now, but you're going to say because the losses are coming. That was a Nick hater all day long.
Yeah. Too many haters, man.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question. In the new era of basketball and drafting and how GMs view college players, it was not that long ago that players that stayed in college and developed in college were held in a higher regard than they are now. Especially in the first round. Teams would rather draft an 18-year-old in the first round than they would a 22-year-old junior or senior. Um, let's say, for instance, if you're a team like the Knicks, who has a good mix of 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds and some veterans, and you're not, you're kind of hanging around in the middle. Would you put much thought into drafting one and dones who would need, unless of course, you got those rare exceptions where a one and done player comes in and he hits the court running and he never looks back. But then you have the other ones that need a year or two of development versus a junior or senior who has fine-tuned his game. There's a lot of aspects in this. What coach was he playing under? What school that are we talking about? Do they have a good reputation of development? Do the coaches have a good reputation of developing their players who stick around for 3 or 4 years? There's a lot of talent in the league now of players, and you see it more often in the second round than you do in the first round. So let me ask you guys a question. With that said, would you be willing to look into an older player, junior, senior, in the second round of this year's draft to be more ready? Their readiness is higher in order to help us faster. Or are you guys adamant on drafting young and developing within your system from a young age? I mean, we did it this year. We did it with Obi. With that said, we did it with Obi.
I mean, with some of these young guys coming up, I think, early in the draft you pick, some of these young guys. But yeah, like towards the end of the round and in the second, you got to go with experience because I think we have enough like raw guys on this team like that still have a lot of room to grow. So I don't know, you don't want to have too many of those guys. Like those guys still gotta to build into something, and you don't want like too much of that happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I like the NCAA tournament. That's one reason why I like it. And those mid-majors always knocking off a major because of those players that you're talking about. They always expose those young players. Always when it comes time to tournament time, they always expose them. And I always keep my eye on for those type of players, even to the noise talking, they be talking to them on the floor. Like, boy, you don't know nothing about you coming, don't care where you come from. So yeah, I'm more lenient to, but it's a copycat league. The scouting team, the general managers, they only do it because other teams do it. And then most of the times they wind up with a bust anyway. They wind up with a player that's with the less talent never came to his full potential. Because he didn't stay those years. So yeah, therefore, yeah, I can always look past one of those players. If it's not a LeBron James, a generational talent of man, look.
Yeah.
Even Damian Lillard came after 4 years. Dwayne Wade came after 4 years. Yeah, you can look at those players. And then I think you're more likely to catch a gem in the second round with a player like that than drafting a younger player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what
Because
the Warriors like. They draft, you know, Draymond and Clay like that, basically. And you know, that's how. Oh, I guess Clay. I don't know what when he
Nah, Clay went early. Clay was about
Clay was he was like 11th pick or something. Like that.
yeah. Clay was early, and
But
then
still, like, he was definitely, you know, in college for a little bit.
because sometimes I'll be looking at some of these scouts like y'all really not doing your job.
Yeah.
Because you should every year be able to go on your own scouting mission and pick the players that you think is best for your team, not what the country thinks. Like, yo, this is what we need. But it just seems as though they all group up and they look at one player and say, "Oh, that's a consensus guy right there," and nobody's really doing their homework. So you get more bust in the NBA than any other sport.
Yeah.
And it's less people playing. Why is that? Because the people evaluating the talent really can't evaluate the talent.
Yeah, I mean, like 75% of the league or something is out, you know, in 3 years, you know. So it's like you do want to pick up definitely guys that are have a little bit of experience, like.
Yeah, they seem to stick around the league.
I mean, it's really hard. Like you can hate the scouts, but I think, you know, no one doing that job is easy. Like, it's guesswork, really.
Yeah, just some teams. There's some teams that are better at it than others. I mean, the Knicks have a history. I mean, the Knicks didn't even have. Wasn't it until Rob? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it until recently that we expanded that portion of our front office?
Yeah, the development
like scouting
because they never considered because most first round picks for the Knicks was always trade bait to get another player. That's why they never had a development staff, because they never valued a pick. They always used that to go get an all-star superstar player or someone to that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're saying that, look, the way to do it is to go through the draft and build your foundation. You build your foundation first. You can always add to your foundation. You just can't build a brick house in a mud foundation.
Yeah.
And that's what we always was doing for a long time.
I know that you guys mentioned some players, but even more recently, if you look at a player like a Duncan Robinson, for instance, the Miami Heat didn't draft him, but they were smart enough to have him on their radar. He was a 4-year undrafted senior, and he's basically a walking bucket right now. So
and he went to the G League.
Yeah.
He was at Williams, bro, before he went to Michigan. He was at like some liberal arts school. Like,
he took the long way, but he got here, right? Yeah, and so there's diamonds in the rough out there, and I would like to see like a team like ours when we have 4 draft picks. I would like to see at least, and they've done it recently. I mean, they did it with a Mitchell Robinson. They did it with Alonzo Triers of the world. They've done it at least one draft pick. They try to find that diamond in the rough. They've had luck.
Yeah, they had luck with it.
They've had luck with it, and I just want to see that trend continue, where they show it's easy to draft a player that everybody's talk about. It's harder to dig deeper and research and find that diamond in the rough. I just want to see that trend continue with the Knicks,
No, I think it is looking up. Yeah.
They have Quickly on the list now. He's like number 6 in the rookie rating. He's the 6th best player. He's the 6th best rookie right now. Mm-hmm. You could pretty much call that a diamond in the rough, because everybody said that you shouldn't have drafted him.
Yeah, that's true. And we got that pick from the Clippers, right? Because we traded that journeyman.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have seen one of our journeymen that we have this season have the potential for us to do the same thing and duplicate what we did with that Clipper pick. Trade him for,
if Knox get himself together, You can do that with Burke.
True. I think out of all the journeymen we have, Burke is the most likely to do that with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can move him for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You be able to move him easily if Knox was to get his stuff together.
Yeah.
That would give us another one in the first round.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But yeah, I mean, people, are really high on this draft. People in the chat are talking about it. I mean, I'm not so certain on it. Like, I haven't heard, haven't seen so much from this guy. Suggs, Cade, I guess he's playing well, but I wouldn't believe the hype is my take. But
yeah, I'll wait for the conference tournaments to start.
Yeah,
which was probably we're about a month out from there. I'll watch the Big Ten and I'll watch them all, and I'll see how they do in the conference tournament. Then lead up until you got enough games coming up once they do their conference tournament because you'll see them all in like 3 or 4 games, 3 or 4 straight games. You'll see them all in like against the top talent of there and see how they fare out. See who's mentally tough enough. And you'll see a lot from the tournament.
Every year you got.
Can you hit clutch free throws down the stretch? A lot. The tournament shows a lot about these young players.
And I think that helped quickly fall right into our laps. The fact that there was not a tournament last year.
Oh yeah.
He might have gone up in the draft if they played a tournament. He might have showcased himself.
Yeah, people would have been looking at him like he would have probably had to make a decision earlier than what we did.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said about the tournament is facts because it's like a guy like De'Aaron Fox, like he proved himself that one year, and like whooped Lonzo. And that proved that, and I think even DiVincenzo, like he had that crazy final game, but he's a solid rotation piece. So
yeah,
it does prove quite a bit.
And then you see what type of veterans are out there that lead these young guys when it get thick. When the pressure builds, these young guys, these young A1 McDonald All-Americans start leaning on those seniors. So, that's something else that's like, pretty solid that we have to look into. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of that.
Shit. I don't have any takes, man.
Oh, well.
I'm a rookie at this game, y'all. Listen.
Oh, well, it's just basically just kicking what goes around, really, pretty much. Because, like they're saying about, well, what you think about Julius Randle?
Well, I think, he's really developed this year. Yeah. I mean, I still think he has some tendencies that are, a little on the slow side. I mean, he has to take, basically all our shots sometimes because that's the only way out for our offense. But, I'd like to see him make some better passing. And I feel like, the system still is just like, it doesn't run smoothly, on the offense. Like, I mean, he gets involved and he gets guys some looks, but I mean, it's hard when you need to rely on him to, even get the rest of the offense going. So, I mean, we just kind of have to rely on him, and I'm not against that, but it's like, what is he here for the long term? I mean, a lot of Knicks fans hope that, but I don't know if this year is really if he has many more years of this, so we'll see.
It looked like he pretty much coming up on the All-Star.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. maybe these glasses are tripping me out. Yeah. But
so, guys, let me ask you a question. Out of the players that we've been hearing about being moved, when trades finally start to happen, who do you think is going to be the first player moved this year? Would it be the Lonzo Balls of the world? Would it be the Bradley Beals? Would it be the others that they've been talking about?
Yeah, they're saying Lonzo is going to get moved probably pretty soon. isn't always out there, but they
Yeah.
have like a couple young, like Kira Lewis.
Well,
But, I mean, I don't want him on the Knicks. I vehemently think he shouldn't be on this team because it's like, why would you replace bad shooting with bad shooting? You know, I mean, you get guys
I
involved,
agree.
but
yeah. My take on it is I think Bradley Beal is probably going to be the first name to drop because
yeah,
he's the most able to help a team that's looking to make a push into the playoffs. He is the contract that a team is most likely wants to dump. Um, and the Lonzo Balls. When you trade for a Bradley Beal, and I'm not talking about the Knicks. I'm talking about any other team. If when you trade for a Bradley Beal, he still has longevity on his contract. If you, whereas Lonzo Ball, um, can be a restricted free agent. If I'm going to, if I was the Knicks and I'm interested in Alonzo Ball, for instance, there's a couple things I would do. I would keep him on my radar for another season. Um, I would. I think Lonzo Ball might be attracted to New York, so I think in the back of his mind, New York might be an option. If a team does pick him up or in a trade, Lonzo Ball may hold off on signing a long-term deal until he hits the open market. Most players want to hit the open market to see what their true value is. And I would evaluate Lonzo Ball the rest of this season and next season. And if I can pick him up as a free agent, I would look into doing that, then try to get him in a trade with no guarantees that he's going to stick around, especially when his play has not been that good. You know what I mean? So I'd
Mhm.
probably hold off on bringing in an Alonzo Ball until he can get himself right. Then I'll look at it.
Yeah, because right now he can't help us, and it's a problem if you over there with Zion and they talking about moving you for a player that there's not even playing yet. They're not even playing that kid yet, and they talking about moving you already. There's a problem, and that's a problem that New York don't need.
facts.
He's not the point guard that I would want. My point guard got to be able to hit free throws, and he can't hit free throws. He don't go to the hole. He advanced the ball. He can shoot. He's kind of all right with the three though, but no, he's not the guy that I would want to man that position.
So based on that, like, I guess the question is, like, what do you see the solution is to the point guard? I mean, is it quickly, or are we drafting a guy maybe, you know, in this draft, or
You know what? If the Knicks right now, everybody is going Lowry. They saying, well, they need to get Lowry. I don't see that. If the Knicks can get Rubio, that'll be a whole better
that'd be good.
guard.
Yeah.
You know, he's a facilitator. He can shoot the three and he can get to the basket.
Yeah, I
He
can see
can
that.
get to the basket. His three-point shot got better. Now, he don't have no mid-range or nothing like that, but he can find people on the court with no problem. So if the Timberwolves is ready to do something with him, I would like a DSJ trade. They get a little lottery. They get a little salary cap relief, and we can move on because we can eat the contract because of the
And he's only 30 years old.
yeah. I would like that piece right there, and he's got 2 years remaining on that deal that he has, and then you can still draft your point guard.
Yeah.
With
See,
him on the with
yeah.
him.
A lot of
Out.
knocks that we get about our point guards is that they're not facilitators.
Yeah.
Or, you know, oh, they're not true point guards because they're not facilitators and things like that. The thing I like about Quickly is that he maintains his dribble. He sees the whole court because he keeps his head up while he's handling the ball. He draws fouls and he's his efficiency at the free throw line is very, very good. It's in the 90s. So when you ask people, well, okay, why are you still, if those four things alone, right? You're looking at a point guard as the key attributes at a point guard, except for the facilitation of the ball and getting your teammates involved.
They did
So,
it.
go ahead, Rob.
No, I was going about to say they did a stat on quickly. With people with quickly on the ball, the lowest number the lowest percentage that a person touches the ball with quickly on the floor is 11%, and the highest is 25. So he would go to Randall 25% of the times as the highest, and the lowest is 11%. That's fantastic numbers. Now, all it would take is for the people that he's giving the ball to hit the shots, and he'll easily average 7 assists.
Yeah.
That's keeping everybody involved.
Yeah, I think he just he gets everyone involved,
And he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't show up immediately in assists, like I'm not really worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think he's like a combo guard? A lot of people are saying he's a combo guard. I think he has those elements, but I think he could play like the point, pretty easily.
I think, like I was saying, I've been having this conversation for the last probably 2 weeks. In today's NBA, your best point guard is your best combo guard in today's NBA. So you would exclude like Rondo, and you would probably start with Ja Morant. It's pretty much your best young point guard right now. And he's the best combo guard out there too, along with being your best point guard.
My view, I agree with you, Rob, because I think in today's NBA, if you're having 2 point guards on the court, one of them should have the dual capacity to play both positions. Um, and I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say, for instance, I put a team together and I have Rubio as my point guard and I have um, Clay Thompson as my shooting guard. Okay. And my bench is not that deep. All right. So I'm relying heavily on those 2 players. Now, I go up against, in the playoffs, I go up against a clamp down type of defense. And they take they press Rubio. Okay. They press him full court, which hampers his ability to facilitate. Okay. Forces the ball out of his hand. And now they don't have a forward like a Julius Randle to help to play point forward. They have to now rely on a Clay Thompson. Does Clay Thompson now have the ability to handle the ability to facilitate the offense for a prolonged period of time? Probably not. However, if you gave me the same, and I'm not comparing a Clay Thompson to a Quickly. I'm not saying that, but let's say I take the same team and I give me a Rubio and I plug in a Quickly at a 2 guard. I now have that same defense clamping down on Rubio, forces the ball out of his hand and into the hands of a Quickly, who is a quote unquote combo guard who can facilitate and protect the ball and facilitate to some degree, at least enough that the defense now has to pay attention to him and kind of lay off on Rubio and allows him to get back to being the main facilitator. You know what I mean? So in today's NBA, I like the idea of having a point guard on the court that can work in dual capacities to some degree.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Now check this out. Now suppose you had in your back court, you had
like Knox could be a guy like
you have just say for instance, you had in your back court, you had D'Angelo Russell and Quickly. That was your back court.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, D-Lo holds the ball a lot, but
Yeah, would you categorize D'Angelo as a facilitator that can run an offense and put his team in ample positions to be efficient, or would you put D'Angelo as a score first
I would put it in
guard?
the I would put it in the position like this here. It wouldn't even matter because number one, they both can do the same things.
Mhm.
If you want to press D'Angelo and he gets the ball quickly can facilitate the offense just as well. And he can shoot just as well. So you got you a shooter disguised as a point guard, but can really do both.
I do like D'Angelo Russell's penetration skills, though.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a nice twist.
Yeah,
You know, D'Angelo 6'5", quickly 6'3". So you don't really necessarily have a small backcourt.
you just need like a true shooting guard. Like, I mean, I guess like RJ, like
Clay would be the truest shooting guard that you got right now.
that's just the trouble. It's like I just feel like we either need RJ to run the point or like quickly, and you can't have both those guys out there. So it's just there's too many weird things going on because it's just like you need a guy,
Yeah.
you know.
The problem with that is RJ doesn't have the handle to run point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
I
problem.
have to agree with that.
Yeah. If he improves that, but I think that we're gonna get. I think that Rose is gonna make some moves by the trade deadline. I don't think they're gonna be huge moves. I think it'll be based on opportunity. If a good trade presents itself, I don't think he's gonna do it for the sake of doing it. I do think that maybe in the off season, when they shake that tree, you're going to get a lot of disappointed teams and disappointment in regards to where they thought they were going to be versus where they end up, and a lot of players the same thing. So you're going to see a lot of teams looking to dump payroll. You're going to see a lot of players becoming upset about their positions and wanting to leave. Um, More than what you might see this this trade deadline. You're going to see a few teams trying to reposition themselves for a playoff run, but they're not going to try to give you their best pieces. They're going to try to bring in your best piece. So what are you going to get from them? And a
You
lot of
know,
these playoff teams are depleted their cap space, and a lot of them have already depleted their lottery. I mean their draft picks because just to get into positions where they are.
well, I don't really think so because I feel as though Denver still got room, Portland still got room, Milwaukee still got room. The ones that's out there, Utah still got room. The ones who's out there who can make a major push for the title, except for I think the only one who really don't have room is the Lakers and the Clippers. Everybody else, I think they standing fast.
If
I
you
think that
bring yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying I think that Milwaukee can bring in Bradley Beal.
No, in terms of dealing with the Knicks,
Oh, us? Oh
yeah.
no, we
Who are we gonna go to?
we stand at a position of power because we can help a team facilitate any trade and get the first round pick and absorb a contract. So we're standing in a position of power. Absorb a contract for a year, get a first round pick with it, and then they can pretty much dump that player if they wanted to. Because that money right now, the closer it gets to the trading block, the more important that $18 million got the Knicks have. Because I'm thinking right now that Atlanta is not happy with their team.
Yeah,
They had too much expectations on that team to be happy right now.
that is true.
So a lot of things can fall into our hands with teams like that thought that they was building a team that was going to make a deep run or make a semi run And then now all of a sudden it's not looking that good. You know,
That's what I
so
think too.
you
See,
know,
I
so we
think. Uh,
go ahead.
no, I think that we're going to get that opportunity more after the season ends. Once these teams have made the playoffs, and then you have these early exits of these teams who thought they were going to be better than they were, then you're going to see them trying to retool and maybe dump contracts, and then we can probably get be in better position to do that
But
than
that
if we try to
18
do it by
million
the.
is not going to mean anything then.
I know we have to spend that this year, right?
Yeah, we gotta. That's what I'm saying. By the All-Star break, right now, like teams like I just named, like Atlanta, there's a couple other teams like that. Washington, they in that. We might facilitate a trade for Bradley Beal to another team and get the first round pick for doing the deal, absorb some money for them, and keep it moving. Because everybody is going to have to talk to the Knicks about any trade regarding any player with some money.
That's true.
You
At
have to
least as
come.
a third
You,
team option.
yeah, you gotta come talk to Uncle Leon. You gotta come talk to him because he's holding that. I think he's holding that just for that. You will
Hmm.
get another pick. You might get a player that you might get a new, like, just say for instance, you go with Atlanta, try to facilitate a trade for Bradley Beal. Just say for instance, we throw that out there. They would use the Knicks in there because so they might have to give up Collins, the young guy, give up him, and a first round pick to us. We absorb the money. We send him over there to Atlanta. We get that back. We got a first round draft pick and a young player.
Right. I like that.
I
I'd
mean,
rather do that than bring in a player on the other side of 30 years old.
No doubt. No doubt.
if you
So,
could,
so now, not rushing anything. And that's what got people people are turning their heads around the league now. They're looking at our style of play. They said the Knicks are playing hard every day. And now other GMs are looking at, damn, and they got all the salary cap money, and they got a team that's out there playing hard. So when they start looking around the leagues and agents are talking, they said, yo, keep your eye on what New York is doing. Because they're not playing no games.
We have everything you would need and want as a rebuilding team. We've got the cap
Exactly.
space, we've got the draft picks, and we've got a few young players that might be attractive to other teams. Who knows? As throw-ins in a trade. Yeah, and a lot of teams don't have that. You have some teams that have depleted their everything I just mentioned has been depleted on
Yeah.
other teams, and they have. You know what? I'll give you an example. Let's say a team like the Lakers wanted to make a big move, but they don't have the cap space, they don't have the draft picks, but they might have a player sitting at the end of their bench that is young and it's not a vital piece to their next 2 years of their playoff runs with LeBron. They might want to give that up to the Knicks, right? They have a young point guard, for instance. I don't know his name, but he's one of those players that have like the three initial names. I don't remember.
was it
Um,
Talon Horton Tucker?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know how many minutes he's logging in with the Lakers, but something like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might look for him to be a piece because they're giving him a couple minutes, but
with LeBron on the team and AD, nobody is a piece. They would do, especially from what Brooklyn done. They're you seen what LeBron did when he went back to Cleveland. He moved the first round piece, everything
that's true.
before he got there, and got Kevin Love. He said LeBron don't care nothing about no rookies.
No,
Yeah.
no, because LeBron is looking at the clock on the wall, the calendar on
Yep.
the wall, and he's like he wants to get those few more championships to get him up in the. LeBron's gonna go down as the best player in basketball, but he wants that championship, those championship rings that will put him in that category too.
Yeah, no doubt. He
I
won.
think the AD move was soft. That's my take on it. The fact that he could just go there, like he just sort of that was a behind the door move. I think but he gets what he wants. So I'm not gonna argue with it. But.
And when you have a player like a LeBron James, players just want to go there because LeBron James is synonymous with playoffs. and you have a lot of veterans who are looking for that ring. They're willing to take veteran contracts just to play with LeBron in hopes to get that championship ring before they
Yep.
retire. A lot of them have done it.
Marcus Gasol,
Yeah.
yeah.
How about that guy who was with the Pacers? Remember, he went ring hunting and he got one. And then he retired like right after that. He was with Indiana.
West.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No, wait. He didn't do that with the Lakers. He did it with Warriors, didn't he?
Yeah, he went to the Warriors. Yeah, he got his
He got a
ring
ring.
though.
Yeah. And he helped them
Mhm.
to some degree. You know?
Oh yeah. He did a little work for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went ahead and he did get his ring with him.
Yeah, we'll see what well, I'm looking forward to the second quarter of the season to see what moves internally Tibbs and the front office does with the rotation, if they make any changes or any change to the minutes. As long I tell you the truth, as long as Bullock and Peyton um continue to play defense, Tibbs will live with their sporadic offensive output for now. I don't think he's
Yeah,
going to
but
make any
see,
major changes there.
Yeah.
I also think this here. That hiring Tibbs for the job, you have to have a conversation with. Well, so what are your plans? And the Knicks' plans to him is, look, we putting in these young players. We got to evaluate them, see what we going to do. We going to mix them around with some veterans. You know what I'm saying? And then boom, they jump the spot. They take the spot. Tibbs say, okay, well, fine. Say, now we're not trying to put no high-level players in front of them. Something that they should be able to get by within the season. Might not be early, might not be late, but as the season go by, you install your defense, you do what you want to do, but this is the plan. Come the second, but we have to see these at some point of time in this season. We have to see these young players on the floor. Do you what you got to say about that, Tibbs? Okay, that's agreed because we got these draft picks coming up behind this, and if we need to replace a player, we want to make sure that we're replacing the right player with one of these draft picks. So at the end of the day, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna leave it up to you how you want to do it, but we're gonna have to see these players play. He probably said, okay, cool. You in agreement? He said, yeah, bet. You got the job.
And also, you got to think about it also. Think about it this way. You have players who want to make a name for themselves on the court. You've got coaches who want to make a name for themselves on the bench. And I think you cannot exclude front office. When you look at Leon Rose as a first-time team president, when you look at Wes as a first-time executive that comes out from behind the scenes, they want to put a stamp on this as well for themselves. You know what I mean? They want to make a splash, so to speak, at some point to build up their reputation as making the right moves to help move the Knicks forward. So I think that is just a matter of time before we see Leon Rose make some type of move to hopefully improve this team, whether it be by the trade deadline or whether it be by the beginning of the next season. And I'm not talking about some nonsense little move. I'm talking about like a splash move.
Yeah.
To the extent that they can, based on, because like I said, when you have cap space, when you have draft picks, I mean you're in the driver's seat.
But would you consider I see, look, it's nothing out there right now. It's really isn't anything out there. Anything out there, you're just fishing in an empty pond because it's nothing out there. Even like if you look at even if Washington, say for instance, get rid of Bradley Beal, that's not a good fit for the Knicks. RJ is coming along just fine in that same role. Bill is not helping his team win where he's at right now.
Yeah, he needs to do something.
So
Wouldn't
him
you
coming
plug in
here,
RJ at 3, Rob?
you say what?
Wouldn't you plug in RJ at the 3 if you
No,
brought in a
I'm gonna
Beal?
leave. No, why would? But look, my point is this here. Why would I have to do that? And RJ is doing just fine. You know, at 6'7", he'll be undersized there at the 3 anyway. Why make him struggle on defense when I got me a player that I can use right now? You know, I won't do that to him. I'll leave him at that position, and I won't draft or put somebody in his position. So therefore, Bill would not fit for me as a Knicks GM. For that reason alone. Nice player, but what we have at that position right now, we're fine with.
All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you on that regard. Bradley Beal's 27 years old. He's averaging over 30 points a game. He's a shooting guard with a handle. Washington may not be so enthusiastic about paying his salary for the next 3 years. The only thing I have a downside about Bradley Beal's contract is that the third year is a player option, not a team option, so he can opt out in the third year. So let's assume that he's happy here by his third year and he sees movement in the right direction. And if you're looking at it strictly as in Washington's view as a salary dump, where you throw in some fillers in terms of matching up salaries, plus you got the $18 million sitting in your bank right now, and you have draft picks. If I can give Washington Wizards draft let's say two draft picks, and again, this is more likely to be able to happen based on the fact that Washington is looking to dump his salary. All right. So let's say, with that said, there's not too many teams that are going to come to the table willing to offer Washington draft picks with between 21 and the 23 seasons. A lot of teams already depleted those draft picks, and a lot of teams don't have the money in the bank to able to bring in a contract without adding a Randall or other vital pieces, or Barrett or what have you. I mean, it all depends. I would do it. With that said, I would do it if it does not hurt us in the long run. I would bring in a Bradley Beal if it does not hurt us contractually, asset-wise, team-wise in the long run. I would consider it, because you can't walk away from a 30-plus point per game player, without at
Bradley
least looking
Beal
into
is,
it.
by the end of the season, Bradley Beal is going to be averaging between 23 and 24 points a game. RJ is going to be averaging in between 20 and 22. So I am not, and he's 20. So I don't have to look for that position. So therefore, that's the only reason why I'm not doing it. If I didn't have RJ, I'll do it. But since I do have RJ, I'm not doing it. Just for that reason alone. Now, I will look for a position that I'm having problems with, and I want the right size guy at that position. You know, I don't want nobody to be struggling. I want my point guard. I want my small forward. I want my stretch four. I want my center. I'm not going to have somebody overcompensating for that position. I'm just not going to draft that. I'm just not picking them up from that way. And then on top of this, when John Wall was hurt, he was still out there. He was still out there in Washington. He couldn't equal up no wins. He can get himself off, but he doesn't help other players be better. And it's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Because you'll put somebody else in that position. But for that money, I need more than just scoring.
That's true.
I need you to have or equal a winning mentality, or be known as a winner, or in some kind of way. And he wasn't able to do that in Washington for $30 million a year.
Yeah, but like, what Will was saying in the chat there, I mean, he has no help there. But I kind of see a take where he could just come down and sort of just score a lot, but you know,
I think he'd have a better supporting cast here in New York than
But
he
he
had in
played.
Washington.
But before Wall got hurt, they was there together. Still nothing.
Then what did you have after that, though?
But yeah, but he's really come up in the last couple of years, you know. So that's
Look.
hard to say.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing out there, so develop your own.
Yes.
Develop, get you to a 500 season. Maybe if you're not 500 this year with this same mob, you'll definitely be 500 next year. You move Peyton, you get something better in the draft, and you'll definitely be a 500 team just on chemistry alone.
Yeah.
And then you look to add a piece.
Continuing with me being the devil's advocate here, when you bring in a Beal, don't you automatically have a number one scoring option?
You already have a number one scoring option.
And who?
Randall.
Yeah, but Randall would not be a number one scoring option on a perpetual playoff team. He's our number one scoring option on our team.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't be that. He wouldn't fill that role on any other team that's basically making it to the playoffs continually.
Okay, so getting Bill, where do you expect to go?
This year, I expect. I would no. I'm not expecting. I would making that trade. I'm not expecting him to propel us to a championship.
I know that.
Series.
So we
I'm expecting it to. I'm expecting it to be a main piece. So that way, if we make additional moves next year, we could make it in deeper into the playoffs with, let's say, for instance, Bradley Beal being your number one scoring option, Randall being your number two scoring option because he's still under contract, and then a Barrett being your number three scoring option if he continues to improve. But to say Randall's our number one scoring option, yeah, you're right, but he's our number one scoring option. If you plug him in to if you plug him into, let's take Randall. Let me throw this at you, Rob. And Dana, is it?
Yeah.
Put Randall on the Bucks. Is he your number one scoring option?
No.
Put him on the Pacers. Is he the number one scoring option?
Maybe.
You put him on the Lakers. Of course not, right? That's ridiculous. What? Give me. All right, let's look at the teams that are basically. You put him on the Warriors. Is he a number one scoring option?
No, he would be number two.
Right. So you see where I'm going with this. So he's our number one scoring option.
Yeah, but on a lesser team. But look, like he say, he's not fully developed. He's not at his peak yet.
He's in his prime.
And neither is Beal. Beal's the same age as Randall.
No, he's not.
Beal's only 27. Randall's 26.
Bill be 28 this year.
Okay, all right. I mean, yeah, but it's not like he's 30.
2 years is a lot. 2 years is a lot.
You can't say you wouldn't take Beal over Randall. I mean, that's.
I'm saying it for the sake of RJ. My assessment of Bill doesn't have anything to do with Randall. It has more to do with RJ.
Okay.
I'm not taking them for this. If we didn't have RJ, I'd take Bill all day. But I'm looking at it from RJ's standpoint and where he's at in his career. I'm thinking that we can build our own number one option with the players that we have and the players that we will draft. Because like I said, right now in free agency, there's nothing out there.
I mean, yeah, basically, there's only two options with us. Either we make a splash like that with a guy like Beal, or we just, play it out like the Sixers. We get
because
lucky things in the draft and we're
not doing it like we're not doing it winning 2 games a year like Philly did.
Yeah. You don't have to win no games, but just get draft smart and get make good moves because we already
the way the draft
team
because the way the draft is set up now, look what happened with the Lakers. The Lakers was one game out of missing the playoffs, and they got the number 2 pick, and they wound up picking Alonzo Ball. So the balls in the percentage game has changed since then. So you don't even have to do that.
Exactly.
You still be effective in the draft.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of fans were talking about. See, because my take on it is this: as long as you don't have to
I'll just be
deplete,
patient. Yeah.
as long as you don't have to deplete your assets, and again, with everything falling into place, with the Wizards, like I had said, wanting to salary dump Beal's contract and be willing to have 2 first-round picks, one of their own and then ours this year, and you work it out which other one you want to give out. I understand you're adamant that Barrett's going to be your number 1 scoring option, but at some point, do you foresee that being right?
We in year 2. Even
You're
if
right.
he doesn't, even if Barrett doesn't turn out to be the number 1 scoring option, we're in year 2 and we are 20 points a game, up from 14. So we're trending in the right direction. The efficiency is better. Everything is, the assist game is better. The rebounding is better. So we're trending in the direction that I'm looking at it, that right here. His upside seems as though it's going to be better than Bradley Beal's.
You're not giving up Barrett in the Bradley deal. In the Bradley Beal trade, keep in mind, you're not
I
giving
don't
up
think I
Barrett.
want them playing together. I don't want them playing together. I think Beal is a streaky shooter. He's a streaky shooter, and he shoots a lot. Yeah. And his defense is nowhere near what Barrett's is at. So I don't see somebody that we got to bring in there, break them down all over again to start. Now you need to start playing defense. You can't have these shots. I think he'll be disgruntled. And if Washington anyway, why would you get rid of Beal when you can get rid of Westbrook?
Yeah. Because I think Washington will probably be shopping both. Teams will probably be looking at Beal before they're looking at Westbrook, because when you look at Westbrook is older. He has proven time and time again that he's a walking triple-double, but he is not the key to any that a team can plug into the playoffs. He's not going to get you deep into any playoffs. And Westbrook, if you want to label anybody a selfish ball player, Westbrook fills that category more than Beal does, in my view.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean they're probably going.
But if they're shopping both of them, that means as though if they're shopping both of them, that means as though they want to tear down their team and get to where we're at.
Sure they do. Of course.
They want to do what we're doing. So we would take their garbage and be like them while they get like us, looking for better talent. I'd rather be in a position to be looking for a better suited talent for my team than to have somebody else's garbage that they ready to get rid of.
They're not in our position though, because they don't have the assets that we have, and we're a couple of seasons ahead of them.
But once they trade these players, and they're gonna be like pretty much right where we at. They got Rudy Hidamora, they got the shooter, they got the guy who just tore his ACL. So they got a young nucleus down there. They just trying to get rid of these old trashy vets.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they'll get some.
I don't know, man. I'm not ready to label Beal as trash. I mean,
yeah.
No. When I meant by trash, now Beal is not nowhere near trash. No. But more than Westbrook, I always thought Westbrook's game was trash anyway. Personally,
Westbrook is not. That's not even. I wouldn't touch Westbrook with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't even touch him as an option. But if you plug in Beal into the Knicks and you're able to not give away the farm to do it, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but they're gonna ask for the farm.
If you look, I don't have the stats, but if you look at the games that the Knicks have played, What is the between the positions? How often has Barrett played shooting guard versus small forward? I know he's played both. I don't know which position he's played more or which one. I wish there was some stat I could look at to see where he's more efficient
I
at.
think he played more too. He played 3 when necessity. He played 2.
And salute to the chat.
I just wonder how far of a drop off, if any, you're going to see in Barrett's play, whether he plays shooting guard or small forward. I mean, he's 6'6". He's not a small forward. He's not the biggest small forwards out there, but he's not necessarily, and he's going to fill out even more. The thing I like about Barrett as shooting guard is that he is bigger than a lot of shooting guards. When you do put him at small forward, he kind of equalizes that in that position because there's a lot of small forwards.
That position is that position is 6'8" to 6'9", and then some people are 6'10". But I would say the basic height at that position is 6'8".
Yeah, RJ is a 2, but it's weird. I mean, he'll just be what he is.
Yeah, and I don't want him no unnecessary hardships. You got that position. You're man in that position. You're growing in that position. I don't want anything right there bothering that position.
All right, I'm Rob. Let me give you this. This is interesting. Think about this for a second. Tell me what you think. Right now, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett facilitate a lot because of our lack of point guard talent. And Bradley Beal does have a good enough handle that he can get you out of some sticky situations. But let's say, for instance, the facilitation, and remember, Randall's assist numbers were a lot higher in the beginning of the season. Let's say you play Bradley Beal at point guard, keep Barrett as shooting guard, and have continue Randall as your point forward, the way they've kind of been using him. What do you think? And then you fill out the rest of the rotation. But then what do you think about that?
Okay. You know what? That's very interesting right there, because with that as the coach, I would be like this here. If you bring him here on that, and it doesn't work, my job is safe, but I would sign off on it.
Wait, who's the 3 in that? Sorry, so
I would sign off on it. I would be like, okay, if
the
you
3,
want
4, and 5, you guys, the 3, 4, and 5 positions, you could still, let's say you keep Bullock at 3, let's say.
Yeah, no, because then it'll make it more easier for me to put Knox in that position.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. The 3, 4, and 5, you guys figure out how you want to fill out that rotation.
You can leave it as is.
As regards as putting Beal at point guard, putting Barrett as shooting guard, and keeping Randall in the 4th spot as a point forward, we've already seen that when he's efficient, his assist numbers are good, and he can continue, and he's not making these dumb spinning mistakes. He can work in that position. I think, what do you think about that?
If Bill had the skill set to pull that off, I wouldn't have no problem with it.
Well, he does.
He does have the handle to do it. He's not going to give up too many turnovers.
But no, I'm saying it's more than a handle. Do he have the eye vision to see the pass?
He's not.
Can he see the floor? That's the other thing about it. Yeah, okay, yeah, he can have the handle, but it's a little bit more than that.
If you plug him in tomorrow, if you plug him in tomorrow, you got to look at it in a vacuum. You're not comparing it to point guards around the league. You're looking at it at him versus Peyton.
Yeah, but in some extent, he's have to have the basketball IQ to play the position. Not at a very high level with what you got around him, but you would have to have that mindset. And I can say, okay, and then I can see that better than I'm just not comfortable messing with RJ's spot. But if they want to bring him over from that,
I think
or
RJ.
they shifting RJ around to him and RJ taking turns playing the point. Okay, maybe that's something to look into. I wouldn't say no to that. The only thing I'm saying is that anybody in contention of RJ's spot right now, I'm not putting on the team, because that's developing at a pace that we can all see. So I'm not messing with that.
I want to see what Bradley Beal's career assist numbers are.
But I would like that team. I think.
I think what about he might be at about what
4.
He's at
4
4.8.
4 assists.
4.6.
4.8. So basically around 5. If you put him in at point guard, that could go up to like 7. Even higher. So I don't know. I mean, I think with RJ, I feel like he could concede, really on the court to his position. Not just someone playing his position, but playing with someone, around his position, or if Beal fills in at the 1.
Yeah, he's averaging 4.9 assists a game this year. As a career, he's averaging 4. So he's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's the one thing with RJ is he can sort of get in the motion with the guy like.
Give me a second, fellas. I'll be back.
All right. I mean, that would be a gritty team with him, RJ. You got Randall.
Yeah, his defense leaves a lot to be desired, but I think Tibbs would be able to coach him up. He's not so old that he's set in his ways. The thing, Dana, is that I'm all for bringing in young vets that are in at the beginning or in their prime. If they say your prime years are between 26 and 30 or 32, whatever it may be, depending on the shape you keep yourself in good shape, I'm a lot more likely to bring in those type of players than I am to bring in 31, 32, 33-year-old veteran whose best years
Definitely
are behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just like the ways I feel to go with this team are few and far between. It's either like we make a splash with a guy like that, or we just sort of have to pick up, try and scour around the league and find guys like in that range, who are sort of around their prime, or are maybe underutilized. But I mean, I don't feel there's not a lot of a skill right now in the league. It might just the drafts might need to just come in and sort of flesh it out a little bit, because there's really not much going around. But
yeah, I'm I think that
I mean, that's the realistic take. We're gonna get Beal? Like, no, I doubt it. So we just gotta be patient with it.
I mean, it could, in my view, it could happen, but it will only happen if Rose and Wesley are able to use their reputation as deal makers to pull something like that off. And the other fans have basically wanted to throw everything we had, all of our assets, to a player that would not give us long-term impact, and that is something I'm completely against. I've always, even when the beginning of the season, one of the things I've always said is that I wanted to develop our team organically, like a lot of teams around the league, not plug in pieces that will only sustain us for so long.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, we do have a lot of like plug-in guys like Bullock. Oh my God, he's got to go, as Kev always says. But yeah, I mean, I wish I had more confidence in some of these younger guys like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I see like Knox. I mean, with him, it's all competence, obviously, we always say, but I mean, he might just need a change of scene, you know, on a new team, and that could really get his development up in some way. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really trust the Knicks in doing it right with him, because
You know what the tricky thing is, Dana, is that you're bringing in journeymen and asking them to be starters when they were not even starters on the teams they came from.
definitely, yeah,
Rivers was not a starter in all the teams he was ever at. Bullock might have been a starter early on in his career, but he wasn't a starter lately before we brought him on. Um, Burke was never a starter. He could barely stay on the court without getting injured. So you're asking a lot of these journeyman players. When I started reading about these players that Leon Rose was bringing in, I was certain that he was bringing them on as support to come off the bench, and I was really thinking he's going to be playing our youngsters for at least the beginning of the season until they shown themselves for what they really are, so we can make final decisions on, well, what are we going to do with these guys?
yeah. I felt that too. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like you can't. It's hard to say no to what's happening though, because of like how, like, you know, unexperienced some of these younger guys are. On the top end is nothing on him. He's not games in, so you can't really expect to plug him.
Yeah, no, he's a rookie. I'm referring more to like players that have been with us
Right,
already
okay,
for 2 or 3 years.
right.
You know, the Knoxes, the DSJs, the Frank Ntilikina's.
I mean, yeah, those guys have just been so disappointing, you know. So it's like you got to plug into, you know, those, even if they're coming off the bench for some playoff team, or not even playoff teams, and, you know, starting here. I mean, that's just the talent we have. Like, but I mean, you could.
Well,
I don't get playing Bullock. Like, I at least give Knox some, you know, some time there, because that either he ups his numbers, and that's good for him to be, you know, a trade asset, or he really, you know, comes in. Because I mean, I don't know past this year, like, what his future is with us. You know, just, I don't know if that's too drastic to say, but it's, you know,
yeah, I think I was telling Kevin W before that I think that the only thing that's really been saving Bullock is his defensive play and his reputation. Not so much this year, but he came in with a reputation for being a good perimeter shooter.
right.
It hasn't really shown itself too much, but I think the only thing that's saving him now is the defense that he's been playing. I'm a little bit more disappointed in Peyton than I am with Bullock.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Oh my god.
because
I
you know what
forget
it,
one bad thing for another. It's just like,
you know the problem is that with good point guard play, you can kind of live with Bullock's inefficiencies on offense as long as RJ and Randall are producing. If you don't have Peyton, when you look at the best games Peyton has played for us, has been those games he pretty much exceeded his expectations, where he's played like way over his head. And when you don't have good point guard play from Peyton, it only puts a spotlight on
yeah.
Bullock's play and what he's not able to bring to the court offensively. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Bullock, yeah, he's just sort of like a spot up piece, which
Yeah.
hasn't really showed up this year because of that. But
Yeah. When Peyton balls out, on those few times he has, no one is really complaining much about Bullock. When Peyton does not ball out, and at the same time Bullock doesn't ball out, then they're complaining about both of them because Bullock is not able to compensate and replace what Peyton's not giving you.
right,
You know?
I mean, yeah, he would feed off from Alfred.
And what's happening now is that Randall who was highly efficient at the beginning of the season in terms of his attempts to his field goal attempts versus his makes and his assist numbers. He was really, really efficient. Now, if you look at his stats lately, his assist numbers has been dipping, his attempts has been escalating, and he's not really making as many of them as he was when his attempts were lower. So I would like to, and I think a lot of that has to do with Randall's feeling that he has to carry the team more,
Yeah.
and that can only be bad. When
Yeah.
Randall feels
He's-
like he has to carry the team, he kind of reverts back to the Randall of last season.
I was seeing that too.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
like, I think
yeah.
like the only fix is starting quickly. I mean, it's like
Well,
I'm waiting for that day to see that lineup. If his
I
face,
like
but
I like quickly coming off the bench, and I'll tell you why.
well, if we have
When
a
if you put quickly on the court, and you have Mitchell Robinson on the court at the same time, defenses can lay off of Mitch and clog the paint, which makes it harder for quickly to operate in the paint if his 3-point shot's not dropping. When you put quickly off the bench with the second unit and you team him up with a Burks, a Knox, a Obi, um, those types of players that can spread the court, and it gives quickly some lanes for his floater, um, or for him to penetrate. Um, I see him operating a lot better.
yeah,
So I mean, I would like to. I don't. I was never the one to be a starter versus bench player because
yeah. I guess my thought process is I'm seeing it maybe as a whole different lineup to start anyways beyond
yeah.
just replacing.
Because the thing is, if I was your coach, right, and I said, Dana, I'm not going to start you, but you can expect 30 plus minutes per game, and if you are able to sustain, you might not be starting the game, but you're more likely to be on the court in the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah,
Which
that's
would
what
matter? Which would matter more to you, to start the game or finish the game in crunch time?
yeah, no, definitely like to finish the game off of him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's how I see it too. Just
yeah,
play the role of the starter in that terms, on those terms. But
yeah. Because if I start you and you're not efficient,
right,
you may not finish the game when the game is close and your minutes really going to matter.
yeah,
Because if I'm going to sub you out for quickly and have him finish the game like he has in the last few, he was playing vital minutes in the second half over Peyton, all based on the fact that Peyton really was not giving you what you needed when from the beginning, from the first quarter. So this to me, the starter versus it's all overrated. Starter versus bench player. To me, at the end of the day, is how many minutes you put into the game and what you did with those minutes.
I can get
How efficient you were with those minutes.
yeah,
You know, because you have to find a vital piece when you look at because how long would you sustain your play if you only are hoping for a sporadic play from the Rivers on your team or the Paytons on your team who are like giving you 14 points in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Those big chunks of good play. You need something more consistent than that,
yeah.
you know? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Freezy, you there?
No,
Yeah, I've been here the whole time, man.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been here the whole time. I was just like, yeah, I eat.
So what do you think, Freezy? Give us your input. What do you think?
Am I breaking up?
You're
Am I
breaking up a
breaking
little
up?
bit. A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should
Okay,
Hey, man.
you're okay
Hey.
now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, y'all want to call it? Go some more.
No, we can. Rob, you got something to add?
I just got back. I didn't hear what you I
Now,
just heard
Freezy,
you.
Freezy's here with us. We're gonna close it out if any, unless you have anything to add.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too. I think.
Yeah. Let's close it out. And plus, my phone is on. Hey, but listen, man, y'all conversation was dope. I was listening the whole time. Man, I was outside. Man, it's cold as it's raining here. It's like 35 degrees and
Oh,
raining. Yeah, so but I
wow.
was listening to y'all, man. Hey, y'all were dope. But
Thanks.
but
All right,
anyway,
thank
thank everybody. For everybody listening, subscribe, like the live stream,
you. Yeah,
um,
hit that like button.
turn on your notifications. Join the virtual chat, join the video chat, share on your social medias. And if you'd like to, you can donate to the cause using what's the thing they want me to Cash App. It's $ Lawrence Steers. So hey, great talk, y'all. Good night, everybody.
All right, good night.
Good night, everybody.
All
All
right.
right.